Oh shit. We're already rolling? I'm sorry, I was just trying to finish one of my assignments out of 100 that I have to finish because they're all due next week. Jesus Christ. I don't see the point of me trying to finish everything, you know, schoolwork related. It's not like the front runner of the presidential elections even finished his college degree. Anyways, hello everyone, welcome to PsyPoints. My name's Chumi, nice to meet you guys again. I'm so sorry for being away for so long. I had a vacation because I'm suffering from a terrible case of burnout and I just wanted to take some time for myself so that, you know, maybe I can get that passion going all over again. But before anything else, I would like to give you guys a disclaimer. We are not professionals here in PsyPoints and trying to cure anyone. So if you guys are legitimately suffering from a mental illness, please consider seeking professional help. You know, take a breather, take some time with your friends if you have to. It's all for your own good. Okay, so I would like to ask you guys a question before we get into the topic. Have you guys ever had this feeling where before you even start the task that you're supposed to do for the day, just reading about it or just being reminded about it gives you this overwhelming feeling of exhaustion to the point that when you see it, you're like, yeah, no, I can't do that. No, nada, no. Or like whenever you feel like you have the energy to do it, even before starting it, you just feel so lazy and the ideas just stop coming to the point that you just entirely give up on it. If that's the case, then maybe you and I share the same thing where we suffer from this phase called burnout. So what is burnout? It is depression. It is the quagmire, the void that one sinks into when they feel like there is nothing left in life to give them a sense of purpose because to live is to suffer. Or maybe it is, you know, to quote directly from the National Library of Medicine, a psychological syndrome emerging as a prolonged response to chronic interpersonal stressors on the job. If you guys understood that, good for you. It is usually identified by a sense of overwhelming exhaustion, both physically and mentally, feelings of detachment or emptiness, and feelings of ineffectiveness and lack of accomplishment. You could say it is when you no longer have the strength or the will or even the passion to continue working. Maybe because of how overwhelming it is, or because of having done nothing but work on the same thing over and over, and the repetitiveness of the same task just overexerted you to the point that you have no energy to do it anymore. So why does burnout happen? There are a lot of factors that actually get into a reason on why burnout happens. It usually happens, for example, when you become overwhelmed or you become emotionally exhausted, and generally when you feel like you can't keep up with life anymore. It's not something that you feel in an instant. It's more like it usually builds up over time. So it's like a slow burn because there are so many numerous factors in your life that contributes to this exhausting feeling to the point that it results to a burnout. It can happen for various reasons. Stress from heavy workload is, you know, a usual reason as to why burnout happens. If not, it's like the major cause of why people suffer from burnout. It can also occur when people aren't taking care of themselves properly, alongside the heavy workload. There are multiple signs when burnout happens. So for example, it includes exhaustion to the point that you're like, oh man, do I really want to do this today? And like, you know, you realize that you have no energy to work on it today, even though you barely did anything for the day. So maybe that's a sign of burnout. Another sign of it is you feel alienated from your work or something that you're working towards, or you also have reduced performance. Like you realize to yourself that you aren't performing as well as you were before, and that's a result of burnout. You start to feel more tired, even more stressed from work, and you can see your performance dropping from how you usually do before. And because of that, you just like simply can't bring yourself to do better because all of these factors just come piling up, and you're realizing like, what's the point of trying to do anything if you barely accomplish anything from doing that anyways? You know, I personally know a lot about this subject because I have suffered from burnout from such a long time. It's kind of sad. But burnout can also affect you physically. A lot of people think that burnout can only affect you psychologically, mentally, emotionally, but burnout can actually manifest physically as well when you start to neglect your personal needs, like working out, eating, sleeping, like, it might not seem like I don't suffer from burnout because you guys can see my eye bags, but makeup truly does wonders. I'm telling you right now. But of course, it's not just seen with those eye bags, or like because you don't work out anymore and you see like you've gotten a bit chubby from how you usually look like before. It can also manifest through headaches, stomach pains, and sometimes even intestinal issues. Like someone from PsyPoints, her name is Ali, she actually says that it's not fun when there are physical manifestations from her burnout. I hope you're doing well, baby. Just rest well if you have to. But those are a lot of factors that can go into burnout. And of course, there are a lot of facts about this that can help you understand it more, which we will go into in a bit. So a lot of people misunderstand burnout. They feel like burnout is just a general term for when you feel mentally, physically exhausted to the point that you don't want to do anything anymore. But like, of course, just like everything else, burnout has its types, and there are specific types of burnout that can actually cater to what you feel like so that you can better understand yourself more. So there are 3 types that we would like to introduce to you today. The first one is called overload. An overload burnout usually occurs when an individual begins to exert more effort than usual, usually in hopes that they can get something out of it. They can achieve a goal, or maybe even overall success from the certain task that they're overloading on. However, in the process, they may begin sacrificing their fundamental needs such as leisure, sleep, social life, etc. You overwork yourself because you're so desperate to gain this certain advantage from it, to the point that you forgot your other needs. So the second type of burnout is called under-challenge. It's when an individual starts to notice their lack of recognition or appreciation, and they may experience an under-challenge burnout because as a result of it, they begin to lack motivation in engaging themselves further in their work, or they lose passion for that certain hobby or work that they were trying to focus on before. As time goes on, it's like a slow burn. So like as time goes on, they start to realize that there's no point trying to exert so much effort on it, to the point that they eventually lose a sense of responsibility over it, and they just lose passion because it's not like they're gaining anything out of it anyways. So for me, a good example of this is like my personal experience as a streamer. If you guys don't know, I stream. And before, when I used to stream as a newbie streamer, I was always full of energy, but because of course when you're introduced into something very new compared to what you were doing before, I'm an introvert, and of course going into streaming means that I'm really getting out of my comfort zone because I really want to introduce myself as someone who's very friendly to my viewers. And of course, like, I had so much energy doing it, but like everyone else, I needed a break. So when I had the break, it was like 1 or 2 weeks, and then when I came back, I realized I had no viewers anymore. The views were so low to the point that I just got unmotivated. I realized I wasn't getting money like I used to. I wasn't getting engagement like I used to. And I just got tired of making so much content for nothing. And because of that, because you realize that you're not getting anything out of it, you have like this feeling that you lose your sense of responsibility or even your passion towards it, because you realize like, oh, what's the point of me trying to do this? It's not like I'm getting anything out of it anyway. So that's what under-challenged is. The third and last type of burnout is neglect. So it's when a worker or member in a community constantly experiences helplessness at work, or doesn't receive much aid or guidance within their designated workplace, and they may feel a bit unmotivated or even incompetent towards what they're working on. As a result, they believe that they're incompetent or undeserving of their role or their task. So for example, another one of this that I'm gonna give you is my personal experience. For me, I have always been horrible in math. And even in like other subjects, I'm like okay, but in math, I'm like ugh. So like, because of this experience with me always getting mediocre grades with math, in spite of the amount of energy I try to put into it so I can do better at it, it doesn't seem to work whenever I try to study math. It eventually frustrated me to the point that whenever there's a subject that has statistics or math related, I just give up on it and I don't even exert effort to try and ace my grade on it. So that's what neglect is. You neglect the possibility of you becoming better on a certain subject, on a certain hobby, on a certain work or something, because you feel like there's no point trying to do it anymore because you've always failed on trying to do it. So that's what neglect is. There are a lot of things that get into burnout, and there are a lot of types of burnout there probably that we haven't tackled yet, but these three of course are the ones that we wanted to focus on because this is necessarily what you guys might feel, especially during the pandemic. And of course, now that you guys are watching this video, you're probably wondering, how do you recover from burnout? Currently, according to Orlemans, I'll just say Orlemans and Backer back in 2014 discovered 3 effective activities someone or yourself can do to recover from burnout. So the first one is social activities. Of course, social activities effectively help you with burnout because you surround yourself with friends and family and just spend time with them. Of course, being able to spend time with your friends and family gives you like a serotonin boost because you're like, oh, it feels so nice, you know, take some time spending time with my family and my friends. By the act of doing so, you can be inspired to go and do whatever you can, or like try your best to do whatever you can with the task that you got burnt out from. The second one is low-cost activities. So low-cost, we don't mean it like financially, but low-cost activities is basically just like lying on the couch, binging on anime, binging on Netflix, probably playing games, or like sleeping. It's basically anything that doesn't take too much effort on your part, but you know, it just focuses on you and what you want to do. So that's what low-cost activities are. The third one is physical activities. And you know, it's pretty obvious what that means. Physical activities mean that you're doing activities that are physical, like working out, maybe even yoga, meditate, whatever those things are. But basically, because you move around, you do a lot of things instead of just like staying static in one place. You basically get this like adrenaline rush, and you get a sort of energy that you can use so that you can keep on going and try to do more tasks because you have a lot of energy within you. Personally, for me, whenever I worked out before, after I work out, I always have the energy to do schoolworks. Each of these 3 helps in some shape or form. Low-cost activities, it improves physical vigor and cognitive liveliness, but not necessarily the feelings of recovery. Social activities improve physical vigor, cognitive liveliness, and recovery. And physical activities, lastly, is something that you feel the positive effects of at the end of a workout rather than during. But still, it helps greatly and is one of the best habits you can have for your health and for yourself, of course. As an honorable mention, since we live in the Philippines and we're not like majority of us are like traditional, a lot of us are very spiritual in some shape or form. So of course, meditation, prayer, and religious support groups can also help in the recovery process. Even though we did provide you guys maybe like three things that you can do so you can recover, please keep in mind, at the end of the day, it's you who knows the best solution for yourself. You know, like when we were talking about burnout, you guys start to realize that it's essentially anchored with your emotions and what you feel. So of course, since you know yourself the best, you know the solution as to how you can recover from a burnout. So for example, if you're experiencing for a burnout, don't search on the internet on what you're supposed to do. I mean, of course, it's okay if you want to, but at the end of the day, if it doesn't satisfy you and you know the answer to your question, which is, how do I recover from burnout? Then you already found a solution. At the end of the day, it's you that's taking care of yourself. So you have to know yourself best so you can take care of yourself effectively. So, to end the video, there is a question I would like to ask you guys. Is burnout a valid reason for you to take a break? Of course it is! Because if not, then I missed out on a lot of school activities because I keep telling myself I'm so burnt out from everything. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to make myself feel bad. Jokes aside though, of course it is a valid reason for you not to do anything, or like, you know, just to take a break. Think of it as like this. If you do things so forcefully, especially during a burnout, you start to realize the effects of it on like your performance. For example, when you're writing a paper, you'll see a major difference between doing it forcefully or doing it out of your own time. So when you're burnt out, of course you don't have the energy to do anything. So when you force yourself to write a paper, you'll see like how repetitive your sentences are, or how grammatically incorrect it is. You know, it's not good. Forcing yourself to do something, especially when you have no energy to do so, it's gonna manifest with the work that you're trying to do. You're gonna feel lanky, sluggish, and that's not something good, especially if you want to work on something that you're very passionate about. So of course, if you want to take a break, you should always take a break. Although it is true that you must push yourself to finish your responsibilities, maybe it's school related or work related, it is true that you have to push yourself. But at times, you have to remember that you're gonna lose your passion very, very easily if you keep pushing yourself to the point that you just don't want to do it anymore. Burnout exists because of how repetitive a task is, or maybe because you keep forcing yourself. The repetitiveness and the forcefulness of the task is what creates burnout. And if you don't want to experience that, then you need to learn how to stop and take a break when you need it. So that is all. That is the video for today. I don't know why I'm doing this, but comment any topic you guys would like us to cover next, like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. My name is Chewy, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.